YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. We have a paraglider. It's amazing. Look at these little arms move. There we go. Look at the arms move. And yes, there is a pusher prop on this. I'm going to try to inflate the wing. If you guys didn't know this, I fly paragliders in real life. And we have a partial. All right, so we're just going to do this again until we get it. This is a lot like real paramotoring or paragliding. You just do it until it works. Look, I just wonder if my brake line, which goes to the back of the wing, by the way, I wonder if my brake line is tangled. See? So you see this back is the brake. Stay where you are if you can. This is right there. You see that tangle? That's what I need to fix. So I'm gonna go under like this. Remember, it can only flip a couple of different ways, guys.
Right.
Okay, and it looks like maybe one more time. Does that fix it, or does that make it worse? And just do it a couple of times until you figure out if you've got it. Ooh, maybe it made it worse. I'm gonna try going this way. I'm gonna try going this way. It's spinning this.
Okay.
Every time I do that. Okay, so one more. I must have flipped it when I went out and crashed it. Oop.
I think that was the wrong way.
Okay, so I gotta go this way.
So you need somersault in towards you.
Okay, that's 2 somersaults. Oh, look at that. Look at that, guys. Isn't that crazy?
Do you need to go one more, or is it untangled now?
Toward myself?
Yeah.
I think it might be untangled now, but we'll go one more and see what happens. So the reason we demonstrate this stuff here on Brian Phillips RC is not to discourage you from trying crazy things. It's to help teach you.
See, now that's in the back, right?
Yeah, but you see how it's pulling really hard now? It might be because the way the handle is, and it might be because this is just tangled in a funny spot. Yeah, that's in the back now. Might just be how the wing inflated. Okay, we're gonna try this again.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, that seems pretty square. If you swing it and it goes at an angle, it ain't gonna work, okay? And remember, you are subject to wind. Oh yeah, there it is, guys. There it is. Oh, that's so cool, guys. Tons of throttle, tons of power, but it does want to go only to the right, okay? So I'm slowing down, my throttle's like way down. You guys see this? It's definitely working. You can definitely turn it, but it's kind of a hesitation to the right only. See if I can trim it a bunch. Okay, so I trimmed it all the way to the left. Now I can go left. It's a suggestion to the left, okay? But it's easy to fly. See, all over to the left?
Yep.
And I'll slow it down just a little bit. And remember, when you fly a paramotor, you are flying different controls than you're used to, I promise you, okay? So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up by this pole, and then I'm gonna turn to the other side. I got tons of authority to turn to the right. Oh yeah, there it is. So as you can see, it's controllable now. Man, that was so subtle. It was hard to tell, but I was tangled.
Yep.
So look at that. That's so cool. It actually works. Amazing. I had no idea it was actually gonna work. I mean, I knew it was gonna fly, but I didn't think it was gonna fly decent. And in real life, you have to play with this movement to change your trajectory. But one thing I'm gonna suggest, I am giving a yaw control here to the left, and it kind of like, okay, giving just a little bit of throttle. You have to kind of mix your controls a little bit. You see how I've got these sticks all the way over. I'm trying to show you what I'm doing here. Remember, you're gonna give subtle inputs. If you expect to be able to bring it around like real fast, you'll be disappointed. And the other thing is, don't fight it. Like if it wants to turn one way, just let it turn one way.
Yeah.
And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna push it forward and show you what happens. It climbs, and then when I pull back, it goes, kind of slows it down. Okay, so this is like your brakes. You see the trailing edge of the wing will change position. Now keep in mind, you have to also respond early so that like if you're coming up close to a structure, hey, let's come out in the middle.
Okay.
So if you're coming up close to a structure, you gotta be ready because the wind and everything makes a big impact. And I can tell you this, from being a fat guy on a parachute, that guy on a parachute, I don't think that's the way it went in the movie.
Not quite, but.
But if you're a fat guy on a parachute, you'll understand what the significance of this is. And that is when you're big and you have a 31-meter wing, which is what I fly with, it's huge. And I have to pull so much. See how I did that little bit sharper turn? I gave it a little bit of gas and then a little bit of kick to the left or the right. See, it just wants to only turn to the...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so I think what's going on is we probably have a brake that needs to be shortened a little bit on the left. Man, that is so cool though.
It's really cool.
It's really fun. It's surprisingly cool, guys. So I am gonna tell you one other thing too, and this goes without saying. If you try to fly this in the wind, you're gonna be disappointed. And by the way, we do have a voltage alarm on there, but we're not really pushing the pack. I mean, we're barely doing it. And if you're expecting this to be a quick launch and go, then you'll probably be disappointed. Are we gonna cut out all that and just show people?
We might just clip, fail, fail, fail.
Oh, instead of all the reset time? Yeah, we might clip it down a little bit. But the truth is, guys, in real life, and I'm saying this from personal experience of sucking at paramotoring, there are many times when you go out there when you're new and you try to launch, fail, 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 fail.
Yep.
It's like being a salesman. If you can't handle failure, you can't be a salesman, right? Because you hear no a lot. Well, it's the same thing with paragliding. When you first learn to do it, and by the way, that is the wind impacting me because I can't turn left at all now. And by the way, what I'm saying that when I turn left, I mean, I try to push the stick this way and he's pulling the brake, okay? The little fake guy.
Yep.
And it's just pulling this brake down, which creates drag. Well, if the wind is overwhelming that drag input, you're not gonna turn.
Right.
The cool thing is you could just sit there and let it chill and just kind of fly wherever. Now, the one thing that always concerns me about this type of aircraft is you gotta stay away from trees and stuff because if you get into rotor, you're gonna get screwed and not in a good way, okay? I love the visibility though. Very easy to see. Mm-hmm. It's actually a really calm, nice morning, but we got a super light drizzle. That's the other thing. If you get your wing wet, go ahead and just let it dry out. Okay, you see that oscillation forward to backward? What I'm doing is I'm actually lowering my throttle and just letting it relax. Now I really want to be able to turn both ways. Man, that is so dang cool. I'm gonna give you a super close pass here, camera crew. We already had the closest pass you can have.
Yeah.
How did that go anyway?
That was great.
By the way, there is a torque effect that happens when you're paramotoring, and that torque effect is very real, and you have to play with it. You have to use it to your advantage. But I can tell you this, the brakes are a heck of a lot more effective on a real paramotor. So yeah, you can actually control a lot of this. Ooh, there was dual rates on the stupid transmitter, wasn't there? Is there a dual rate? Where's the dual rate? Ah, dual rates. Please say that rate will give us, oh yes! I can actually turn now. I just pulled the dual rate toward me. And now look at this. I can actually turn both directions. What the heck? Why would you even have a low rate like that? That's so dumb. It's like having the rates locked. Look at this, guys. Look at this. Now I'm able to actually control the dang thing. See this? Both directions. Look at this. I can do a zigzag. Remember, you have to play the movement of the object. It is a pendulum. And if you intend to fly this and not, okay, so there's wind I'm fighting now. I do not have enough authority to make that turn. And if there were a lot of wind coming over those trees, it would collapse the wing, just like the asymmetric stall that we saw at the beginning, which is where I forced it too quick and one part of the wing was deflated. Well, this thing is only inflated from the bottom up, okay? That is so dang cool, guys. Look at this, right over my head.
The wind is picking up.
Oh yeah, yeah, just a little bit though.
A little bit.
And I can tell you this, like you could fly this in the wind, it's just you're not gonna have control. And that's part of the thing is like you have to remember when you fly an aircraft, doesn't matter what aircraft, the way you can judge how fast it is the way you can judge what type of wind you should be able to tolerate in a perfect world, okay? A perfect world, if the wind is 25 miles an hour and this goes 25 miles an hour, you'll be going 0 miles an hour airspeed, okay? But the ground speed. The airspeed is still 25 miles an hour. You're just moving in a volume of air that happens when you see the arms moving around. Isn't that cool? So I can definitely tell that there's just not much input happening on the one side. So the way you fix that is you actually tighten the strings just a hair on the side that's not giving you the authority. But I just love that you can see the little arms moving. That is so dang cool.
See, if you look on his right hand, the back line is like more
slack.
slack.
It's the right one?
Yes, the blue side.
Yeah, you're right.
See that?
Yeah, it is definitely more slack.
And is that
you
what
can see it stretching back. Look at that. That is, well, it might just be because I'm turning too. I'm gonna turn the other way. But as you can see, I'm able to turn it now, but don't even try to fly with this switch
Whatever
forward.
that rate is,
You want that back towards your belly. It's the dual rate switch. Makes a huge difference. Now I'm pushing down and it goes up, and I'm pulling down and it just sort of like does what it's gonna do. Yeah, if you put your hands up, pushing the stick up will release the brakes. It should put you forward a little bit. Now you can do loops and rolls and stuff. You just have to have the skill to do it. So what I'll do is I'll get a little bit of altitude. Remember, you have to play the speed input. You have to play the yaw authority. All those things matter, no matter how much you don't want them to. I had trim in there too from when I had no rates. I'm gonna see if I can give the people a loop here. So I'll get myself to a reasonable altitude. I'll kind of point myself into the wind. You'd see the wind socks, I'll come back toward us just to give the maximum control authority. So I'm gonna turn to the right where I have more authority. I'm gonna push down as it oscillates. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna slow down, push it down, and then go to town. There you go. And give it time to relax and pendulum back to where it needs to be. And it's really not hard to fly. It's just kind of hard to launch. And I think that's very consistent with the reality of flying a real paramotor. And by the way, if you guys want one of the cheapest ways to fly in the history of mankind, it is paragliding, paramotoring. And powered paragliding, and there's a couple of different things I call it, it's one of the cheapest ways to get in the air, but it's also not without risk, just like any manned aviation. And so you just have to be prepared to train the risks to a reasonable level. My suggestion is anybody who tries to do it without training freaking has a death wish. It is, if you can do it without training, you are very, very, very skilled. And I'm happy that you can do that, but I would not ever recommend it to anybody. It is challenging. It is a tough skill, lots of muscle memory, lots of aviation understanding. Of course, you have to know about airspaces, all that good stuff. But I just love that you can get this thing for not much money. And it's really fun. Now, it is gonna be a fair weather flyer, guys. Let's just make no mistake about it. You know, we're talking about 1-2 mile an hour wind here. And it's gonna suck when you get it stuck in a tree or on your house. But remember, you got tons in the tank, tons in the tank. You see the rotor over the house? So what I did was I reserved my power for when I needed it so that I could make the correct maneuver the way I needed to make the correct maneuver, which was, you see the rotor I just went through? That's a real life thing. Now I'm just oscillating my throttle to help me control the trajectory of the aircraft. So all I'm doing is just kind of moving the stick up and moving the stick down. And as I see him swing forward, I relax the throttle. I see it swing backward. See, now I'm oscillating the control and creating an oscillation. So just remember, the whole concept of flying a pendulum aircraft like this is you have to fly the pendulum. If you don't try to time out the pendulum effect, then you literally can't fly it. That is so dang cool. I'm actually really happy with this. And it sucked to launch. I mean, we did not have a real good launch, but that's because we were tangled and we didn't recognize it. Right?
Right. Yeah, I think that was...
Now I'm getting a little bit harder on the throttle. I'm gonna just try to climb here. Now remember, when you climb, you see the angle you climb. Now when I cut the throttle, I'm just gliding. You have no more P factor from the motor. And then if you wanted to land, okay? I really don't want to land because then I have to like relaunch. But all you would have to do is just bring it into where you want it and then just give her heck. Pull back on the stick, or is it push forward? I'm trying to remember what direction they've got this set up. Yeah, you would pull down like that to stop, okay? So pulling the stick down like the elevator full up is what you would do when you land.
Are you landing?
No.
Okay.
I think we should go fly on the other side of the house.
Huh? Can you get there?
What do you mean, can I get there? Yeah, of course I can. My only issue is the trees around the pond.
Yeah.
Might kind of hem us in a little bit.
A lot.
Oh, you're concerned. Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's fine.
I don't want to spend my day getting it out of a tree.
Yeah, I kind of don't blame you. But man, that is so much fun. It's
really cool.
It's ultra realistic. You know, the thing I love about it is it looks like a little dude. The only thing I wish it had that it doesn't have is legs.
Oh.
Because if it had legs, it would look a little bit less like a trike or a trolley and a little bit more like a human. And I think you can, oh, you know what? I think it might have had legs in that kit that you could mount to the side.
Oh, are those not spare arms?
I thought they were spare arms. Maybe they were legs.
Oh.
Well, either way, guys, sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. The cool thing is, suppose you got a kid that wants to fly this, okay? It's gonna be a high supervision activity, okay? But I mean, look at it. It just sort of does its thing. So now I'm not saying this is not a GPS heli drone. I can't lay this down and walk away, you know, go take a dump and it'll land itself. That's not, I mean, it'll land itself in a tree.
Well, yeah.
Or, oh, the windsock. Avoid the windsock. I'm just holding it. I want to see how long it could go without any impact. But then also there are mixes on here and you have to press and hold this for a long time. This is the way it came out of the box. I don't know if there's any impact that we could do. This is Futaba SFHSS. Man, that's a mouthful. I hate saying that. But that protocol means you'd be able to use an OpenTX transmitter in many cases to be able to connect to it if you don't like this transmitter. Although I do think it's a pretty nice transmitter. And yeah, you could fly forever with this thing. I mean, that battery's a decent size. Do you remember how big it was? 1300 3S, I think it was?
I think that's what it was.
Which, by the way, I gotta tell you, when you see a real paramotor go over your place like this, it is super fun to see. It's very neat. I have a friend that flies from about a half an hour drive away, and he has been in here doing all these things in real life.
Yep.
He flies through all the different holes between the trees. He's a very good pilot, and he makes it look easy, but he's also been doing it for a long time. So just make no mistake, when you are in a full-scale aviation experience, every little bit of input you give it, you're gonna get better. And you have to remember, when you watch people do it, like the Tucker Gotts of the world, or, you know, I'm trying to think of other people. There's Fly Junkies, and who else? What's that, Super Dell?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, he's kind of got a mixed reputation.
Not my world.
But either way, it's kind of like the people that you watch online, and I'm sorry for all you awesome paragliders that I can't think of right offhand. I feel like a jerk now. Watching them really do that skill, you think, oh, how hard can that be? Well, let me tell you something, guys. It's like flying RC, only your life depends on it. Once you're in the air, if you don't land, you die. And, you know, I mean, you could land and get injured, or you could, you know, die in the air, I guess, but that would be, you know, you only hit 747 so often. And there's a lot of different things that can go wrong, but at the end of the day, you get to control and mitigate the risk to enjoy the sport. Just like if you're riding a motorcycle. The difference is there's not a lot of other motorists up in the air. And that's one of the reasons why paragliding might be slightly better, but statistically it's about the same as driving a motorcycle or riding a motorcycle. See how it was oscillating there? I'm getting into a little bit of rotor from the trees. Man, that is so much fun though. The thing I also love about this is it's super small package. You could literally hold all of this like in the packing box that it came in, which didn't have much packing. And you could take this on a, you know, like a weekend trip. And gosh, we didn't measure how heavy it was though. Now you see what I did there? I got close to the roof and I didn't quite have enough authority to make the turn. So I just traded off some, I gave it some throttle so I could bring it up over the structure. And you know, I've got so much in reserve on power that it's really not a big deal, okay? Is that a bald eagle back there?
Maybe.
I think it is. I just wish I had a little bit more steering authority, because I just feel like right now, if I had an arm that was just a little bit longer, I could impact a bigger differential between neutral flight and turning flight, because the brakes leave a little bit to be desired. They could be a little bit more effective. But boy, oh boy, is it fun. So guys, here on Brian Phillips RC, we want to encourage you to get out of the chair and into the air. And whether that's full scale or RC, or it's driving an RC car, tank, truck, SUV, whatever it is, drifting car. We do all that stuff, bashers, smashers, and crawlers. We do all of it here on Brian Phillips RC. And now we can add to that parachuters and paragliders. So we have almost done all the different types of vehicles. We've done boats. We need to do an airboat. We need to do a submarine. Obviously,
hard to film.
Yeah, the submarine's probably gonna be a lame video, but I don't know. Peter did one, it was pretty awesome.
Well,
He's got a slightly better budget than ours.
I think so.
Budget and personnel.
Yep. Hey.
What? No, I'm not talking about the I'm saying he's got a lot more people
He's got
working
tons
for
of
him.
people.
So at the end of the day, we do our very best in our very ordinary lifestyle of filming RC. We want to give you guys the best leg up that you didn't expect by watching a guy fly an RC airplane or helicopter or paramotor, whatever it is. I want to give you guys the input so you can make a good decision, because of course China's going to tell you it's awesome. You know, they're trying to sell it. Like, what would you do if you were selling something? Oh, by the way, one other thing too to keep in mind, when you are kind of stick forward, I'm going to show you this symptom. When you ride the forward stick, okay, the forward stick will screw you up, because then when you need to turn, you don't always have the authority that you want to make said turn, okay? So just be careful if you're used to kind of riding the elevator. You can't really do that on a paramotor. You have to get out of it and get out of that oscillation. Because what happens is, unlike an aileron on an airplane, when you give brake, you have to unbrake and get back to speed, get that wing neutral again, okay? That's why it's oscillative flying. You see that oscillation? You're always flying that swing, okay? So the same is true on the braking, which is how you turn. If you try to brake all the time, eventually you're just gonna stall the wing on that side and it becomes ineffective. Obviously we have band aircraft at thousands of feet above us and we're just poking our head up. Oh yeah, he's above the clouds, we're good. And just like in real life, we did not measure how much this weighs.
No, we didn't.
I bet it's probably sub 250. I cannot imagine it being anything more. But it is technically and actually capable of sustained flight. So if it's more than 250, then you'd potentially have to put a remote ID on it if you're wanting to fly it in some unusual environment. But the other thing too is you gotta watch out for turbulence from other aircraft. And what other types of tips?
I'm just thinking you're gonna need a pretty big open space.
Oh,
like if you have a park that's got some trees that you're kind of used to flying around a few trees, this might not be.
Oh yeah, yeah, flying around trees and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's very muted. It's like, it's fly by suggestion, but that is exactly the way it is in real life.
Right.
So I wanna do a loop over here where you guys can really see it. Are you good? Okay. Get out of the throttle quick, get her flying again, regain control as soon as you can. And yes, you can easily fly this. It's just the launch that is a little bit challenging. And I can definitely tell you, if you think there's anything fun about watching this flight experience, you should probably get one. This is really cool. It's easy to store, it's not super expensive, and it's ready to run, which is nice. And when I say ready to run, of course you gotta like charge the batteries. You gotta provide did we have to provide our AA's? Yeah,
yes.
We did. But you can use a LiPo. They have an Hextronics balance lead for a 2S pack. So if you have a 2S LiPo or 2S lithium ion pack or whatever, you could just plop that in there.
And I mean, it comes out of the box like that. It's not like you're tying a bunch of strings.
Oh,
or
heck
something.
no. If you had to do that, that would suck.
That would be terrible. Like, it was pretty much ready to go.
Oh, yeah. And it actually is doing a really good job. The only thing, like I said, that would make it better is if I had a little bit more brake authority. And frankly, it might just be that I'm not very good at it. And if you had some practice with this, you could really get good. And by the way, we do have a voltage alarm on there. The voltage alarm will chime when we hit a certain level. And once it chimes, having hit that said level, I'm with the wind right now. That's why that oscillation is awkward. I need you to get back where you were, thank you. That oscillation can really throw you off. So just get out of it as soon as possible, regain control. Because when you're oscillating violently, first of all, in real life, I've been in that spot and it's not fun. And if you're squeamish and you've got, see that, how it's rocking around?
Yeah.
That's the torque doing that. And also a little bit of turbulence. You know what really amazed me is the training site that I went to in Quincy, Illinois had railroad tracks that were running right around where we were training, okay? You know, just lengthwise, down the length of this, it's called a 5-acre field, okay? It's like a triangle. And when you would launch, you'd be up like 600, 700, 800 feet, whatever it is, and you would fly over and the wind creates this dynamic hydraulic effect, and you can literally feel the railroad tracks. You go over, and I'm not talking about just like the track, I'm talking about the 13-foot berm that is in the middle of the farm field, okay? And you probably don't think about it when you go across it on a road because the threshold is even. But when you go over stuff like that in a paraglider, you feel it. It's so weird. When you go over trees, it's a massive impact. And so if you expect to fly around and not have wind impact you, you would be sorely mistaken. Wind is a huge factor for paragliders, okay? That's why they usually fly at sunup and sundown. Goodness gracious, going forever. They're really good flight time, folks. So, like I was saying earlier on Brian Phillips RC, I want to encourage you to get out of the chair and into the air. If you don't know how to fly RC aircraft, my suggestion would be maybe don't start with something like this. It's a little bit challenging to fly. It's not hard to fly as much as you just have to be a little bit skilled. And when I say a little bit skilled, I'm talking about like knowing how to respond before something becomes a giant emergency.
Yeah.
And that is tough. It's a skill that takes time, it takes effort, and it takes knowledge. And it takes practice. Those are all things that we have done for a long time. And for those of you that are brand new to the hobby, or maybe an experienced paramotor, don't think you're just gonna jump on the sticks on this thing either. Just because you understand how it works doesn't mean you're gonna be able to fly it effectively. There's a lot of patience and, you know, by the way, the other thing too is if it doesn't wanna turn for you, see if to slide the stick up or down, because that impacts the other side. That might help get your turns executed, because there's gonna be times when you wanna cut sharper, and what you can do is you kind of move the stick. Like say it doesn't wanna turn very well, then you could go back with it or forward with it, and it will impact the performance, because that in turn changes the angle of the other arm. So like I said, this is just one of those situations where you just have to kind of play with it a little bit. And here it is, Brian Phillips RC's trying to use his rudder like he does on all 3-channel planes. The rudder that doesn't exist, I might add. And there it is, getting into an oscillation, getting back out. Remember, you have 3 axes of control here. You have brake 1, you have brake 2, and you have throttle. And then everything else is just responding with timing, okay?
And I think it did say about 30 minutes of flight time.
Holy cow!
And we're over that right now of actual flight time, because I restarted at that first when we actually launched.
That is crazy. And guys, it's not beeping or anything. And I'm gonna just tell you this, if you want a long flight, even if it's not maybe as invigorating as like, you know, an EDF experience or something like that, this is super fun, and it is really fun. And yes, those zigzags, I am doing them. So if you get to being real good with this, I am confident that a skilled pilot, by the way, getting into a little bit more wind now as the sun's getting up higher.
Yeah.
One thing to keep in mind is that as you learn to fly this, you're gonna get better and better, just like with an airplane. I'm gonna try to land here. Okay, there it is. Very nice. Just like in real life, guys. Really, really cool product. I am super surprised. So check out the links in the video description below. Get one for yourself. This thing is actually way better than I thought it was gonna be. I knew it was gonna be kind of fun. I knew it was gonna be frustrating to launch. I mean, I knew that, okay? So probably what we're gonna do is we'll show the launch and then we'll show the frustrating stuff at the beginning. At the end of the flight, right?
Yeah,
this is what we should
something
do.
like that.
But we did try to launch in some wind the other day, so I'm not sure. We may lead off with the complete and utter disastrous failure because it was kind of hilarious. just like we did with the parachuter. But I can tell you this, I didn't know if this was gonna actually be fun to fly. And I can tell you this right now, it is fun to fly. Is it the easiest thing to fly? No. Is it precise and agile? You know, like the way that people that fly in tight quarters want planes, aircraft, and other equipment to fly. The answer is no, it's not super agile. It's only as agile as you get used to the sticks. Now, also, one other thing, there's no throttle hold on this, so camera crew, would you mind holding that for just a sec? What we were talking about is the length of the arms can be adjusted a little bit, and they actually have different arms you can use. Also, just in looking at the voltage, geez, we have tons of battery left.
That's crazy.
That's nuts. And I think what's going on is some people must just get into the throttle a lot harder than I do. And I did tie my antennas to get my diversity antennas, and that might be catching a little bit occasionally on launch. That might have been part of our problem, but you can see how these brakes are completely separate, okay? So if you have one side that really has a propensity, what you can do is you can shorten the string a little bit on the other side, okay? The other thing is look for knots that are not correct. So that knot's supposed to be there, these knots are supposed to be there, but then there's no knots here. If you have a knot that's in the middle, then that will shorten the brake on the one side, okay? So if you have a nasty knot there, then you might need to adjust that or address that. The other thing you could do is you can undo this and shorten this a little bit to tighten that brake. But just remember, when you do it, it's surprising how big of an impact it's going to have. So you need to be super careful. The other thing you could do is you could take the arm off. I'm just gonna move the sticks. Hold it steady for me. See that? See how much movement there is? There is a lot of movement there, okay? If you undid this screw and you moved it to the next spline position, that might help you defeat some of your trimming issues. Because I do have trim in here, there is an audible volume, like you hear it when it gets to the center of the range because it's just a digital switch, okay? So tons of really cool, amazing performance. Like I am really surprised by this. It's really fun. And obviously, if you get one from the links in the video description below, you will help support Brian Phillips and the things that we do to support the hobby. So we appreciate you doing that. And obviously here with the unveiling of the recent new upgraded extension to the runway, and obviously the beginning of the damn runway, which you've seen the base out for close to a year now, right?
Well, all summer.
I'm gonna see if I can get this to inflate for our just like talking time. Oh, it's so cool when it does inflate. Oh, and by the way, if it's super windy and you're concerned about this, just take this, fold it in half, just like this, and just like roll it up. You won't hurt anything, and then roll it up, just like that, and you're done, okay? Now, when you're done, ready to deploy it, it's no big deal. The other thing you can do is you can actually drop this on the ground and flatten it out, because I know that some of you, like you'll wanna go, now I'm done flying this, I wanna go fly my airplanes for a little bit, okay? So, put it on the ground, fold it in half, disconnect your battery, and then just kind of do this. It's not hard. And then once you have it like that, get all that stuff into a bundle, just like you would in a real one, and just kind of lay it down carefully, and you're ready to go. And you can store it just like that, and then that will keep the wind from picking it up. It takes forever to turn this transmitter off, by the way. You see that?
Oh, yeah.
So, at the end of the day, is it a win? Oh yeah, it's a win. Is it as exciting as a $3,000 helicopter that could cut your head off? Probably not, but it's still pretty cool. And the thing is, not everybody has that type of budget for RC.
Right.
And we get it, like that's not for everybody. And you know, some people love helicopters, some people love airplanes, some people could care less about paramotoring, and I get that too. But I can tell you this, it is a real aircraft, you are really in control, and it is really fun. So all three things are true, and it really does what it says. It does come out of the box. It's very easy. There's barely any setup. It's like a 10-minute unbox.
Yeah.
So for Brian Phillips RC, well, maybe
it's like an hour for you,
so for me, it's like an hour. But a normal person could open it up at the flight field, charge the pack in their car or truck, if you have an adapter for an AC plug, and then you'd be golden.
Yeah.
So really cool, awesome job. Get one from the links in the video description below. Other ways to support Brian Phillips RC would be Patreon for monthly support, YouTube members for monthly support, YouTube super thanks, and PayPal if you don't want to be part of those groups. We totally understand. Any of them are always appreciated, but at the end of the day, our biggest factor is I want to help people fly. So buy the things from the links, That helps us to bolster the relationships that we have with the different distributors and manufacturers that we work with, okay? That helps us to grow our channel in this way, and it helps to grow the hobby. We want people flying, we want people loving it, just like we do, okay? There's that guy again. He's always so low, imagine.
He's so low.
That is a big plane. Holy cow. The only channel on YouTube that stops to watch the planes fly over.
If the kids were up, they would be running outside to look and see where the plane was.
Yeah. Why is he so low? That's crazy low.
He's always low like that.
That's not the same guy, Megan.
Well, there's...
It's like an MD-80, I think.
That's...
No. The other one we see is like it's like a Learjet or a Cessna Citation or a G6. But yeah, you can tell he's low. But those clouds are higher than they look. So anyway, getting back to the point, our whole point is this. If you want to support Brian Phillips RC, there's lots of different ways to do it. Also, check out bprc.me, which is a short link to brianphillipsrc.com. If you don't know how to spell Brian, you can go to bprc.me. You can support us there by comparing and contrasting this contraption to any of the other contraptions we've done over the years. And if you are intelligent enough to run the Google search, the world's largest search engine does not have a search engine that will allow us to search our own platform for Brian Phillips RC because we have so many videos.
Yeah.
So go to brianphillipsrc.com, find what you want. You can compare and contrast sizes, price points, similar planes. Just look at the thumbnail. It's gonna be me holding the plane or the helicopter or this thing. And you'll be able to see all the different videos right there. Super easy to find. It'll take you right to the playlist on YouTube. If you're watching this on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, wherever, it's the same thing. Just head over to YouTube, find what you need to find. I'm sure the TikTok people love that. And I'm sure the Instagram people love that.
Well, they won't see this part because they only see the shorts.
People will love that. But that's right, yeah. So if you're seeing shorts from Brian Phillips RC, remember, they're almost always, I mean, like 99.999% of the time, they are just a snippet from a longer video.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, we always felt like shorts were a complete waste of time, and they, you know, I still feel that way. But at the end of the day, if that's what you guys enjoy, that's fine. We'll go ahead and do shorts. And if that helps you to understand, hey, there's a little bit more to learn about this thing, then come over and see the whole long format video. And we've been doing long format for over a decade now.
Yeah.
And that means we're old.
Yeah.
So help old people.
Please.
Yeah, please. We're gonna need walkers soon. So awesome, awesome product. You can see the raindrops on the ground. We're obviously gonna have to wrap this up. But we really appreciate you guys being part of the YouTube experience here on Brian Phillips RC. And if you're not already part of it, you know, click the bell. When you do subscribe, there's no reason not to be notified. There's tons of new content that comes out all the time. We'll keep you invigorated and excited. We want to breathe new excitement into your hobby experience. We want to help take some of the worst parts and let you watch us enjoy those so that you can figure out if you can tolerate that sort of pain and suffering or that cost to benefit ratio. And so we're gonna help you do that here on Brian Phillips RC. Also, if you're brand new to the hobby, you don't know what you're doing, you just need somebody to explain what a LiPo is, or a balance lead, or a discharge lead, or a C rating, or any of that crap, we get into the weeds in our unbox build radio setup videos. Most of the time we do a product, we have an unbox build radio setup video, and then we have a maiden flight video. Sometimes we add a second thoughts later on where we fly it again. Sometimes we have a revisit. And that's our general policy. But there are times when we have products that are ready to fly like this that we start the video with the flight and we end the video with the unbox build radio setup. So it's just one big bundle. We used to do that years ago. We got away from that because the videos were so long. It really killed our retention rate on YouTube, which means recommendations go down, which means we reach a smaller audience, which means life is tough. So at the end of the day, we do have to play the game to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, we love hobby. We love doing this stuff, and we are really doing it. So there's a lot of people that talk a big game on YouTube and they're out for $1. Trust me, whatever dollar we got is gone. It's on fire in the garbage can, okay? And trust me, it's gone. But speaking of rain, by the way, if it starts raining on your wing, it won't really hurt the wing, but I wouldn't recommend packing it up when it's wet. So let's walk over here. Let's show the people real quick. Obviously, we just got this intersection done. You don't need an aerodrome to fly a powered paramotor, okay? So a powered paraglider. But we're building this tiny little building over here. That's 60 by 104. It's gonna be 20 feet tall, interior walls. And then it's gonna be like 40 something feet tall with the cupolas. But that's gonna have a 46 by 17.7 hydraulically actuated door for, I don't know, small tractors, push lawnmowers. and other stuff. But there'll also be a huge door that's like, this is an 8-foot tall by 16 foot. It'll be 18 by 9. And then another door that's gonna be, I think it's 10 by 12. So we've got all that stuff and so much more right around the corner to share right here on Brian Phillips RC. So if you like following along with the aerodrome progress, stay tuned. There's more coming. We just have to convince our builder to show up after we give him hundreds of thousands of dollars so that he can get materials to sit on the concrete. It's killing me. I don't know if you can tell. Patience is a virtue.
Tell. Yeah, that you don't have.
All right, stay tuned. So much more right around the corner on Brian Phillips RC. Thanks for watching. We've got a little bit of light wind. I don't know if that's the best way of putting the wind. There it is, guys. She's flying. Oh, that is so cool. I actually have control of it. Oh, kind of. Oh, that is so cool. It's actually controllable. Guys, look at this. So neat. It's kind of a flyby suggestion. Oh, that is so neat. Now, you do need to mix your controls a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to bring it down. So the other thing, Han, I'm just thinking about right now.
Yep. Is
like, how the heck am I going to get that down?
I'm not sure.
Okay, let's see if we can get it down.
Okay.
So I have the stick pointed straight down on the left stick, okay? I'm just gonna, did a loop. Oh man, hon.
Yep.
I'm trying desperately to get it down. Hit the fence. Yes! Okay, so as you can see, that's pretty much how that went.
So 12 to 20 mile an hour wind is maybe
so
a
12
bit
to 20 miles an hour might be a little bit too much for this, but now that we've showed you, it's definitely fly-by suggestion, okay? That being said, you got enough power to do loops and rolls and all that crap, but I don't want that to get into the barbed wire, so I'm gonna go get on a bike and I'm gonna go get it and bring it back. We'll talk some more. Okay, so back with the bulge.
It's in the wrong spot.
What do we have here? We have a paramotor. Oh, that's so cute. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this out, we'll put it up on the truck, and we're just gonna talk for a minute. First things first, when you crash, make sure that you're untangled. How do you make sure you're untangled? By laying it flat on its engine thing, and then just work this around. It's not as hard as you might think. You're gonna think, man, that thing's gonna tangle like crazy, but I already have it untangled.
Okay.
You guys see that?
Yep.
Now, how do I know that? Well, because right up there, there is a Paraglider, okay? So I have a real one in real life, and it's really fun, but at the same time, I have learned my lesson, and I am repentant of trying to fly this in the wind. I should have known better. It's gonna be super fun when it's calm, but right now, it's not. So we will have to wait for calm weather for this. And I think it's gonna be super fun because, like, honestly, it didn't do near as bad as I thought it was gonna do. But it is definitely, they said there's a stabilizer on this, and I don't know if there really is a stabilizer, but I'm just gonna flip the switches and just see if anything moves. Nothing, 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 nothing. So if there is a stabilizer on this thing, I have no idea where it is or how to activate it. It doesn't say anything in the manual. It just talks about how good it is. So as per usual here on Brian Phillips RC, we show you the way it really comes out of the box and whether or not it's gonna be worthwhile. Now, I don't think that the stabilizer would probably make enough of a difference. I think part of the issue with this thing is that there just is genuinely not a lot of throw on the brakes. And these of course would be the brakes. And that is what makes the impact for the changing. You'll notice that when we were flying out here, it was wanting to go in circles and it just was getting carried by the wind, which is exactly what you'd expect to happen with a paramotor. So in real life, if you got a 25 mile an hour maximum speed and the wind is 25 miles an hour, then you're gonna move nothing miles an hour. And that's exactly what we were seeing. So it stands to reason. I think we've got enough power. It's gonna take a little exploration to tame it, but I think it does definitely work. So I'm excited to try it in calm. So as per usual, we have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on concrete and upgrades, and we don't need concrete runway
For a parachute?
for a parachute. So anyway, we hope that this answers some of your questions. We are going to do a full unboxed build radio setup, and that's gonna come right after this. I'm assuming we'll get a better flight, which would have let off this whole video. But if not, we really appreciate you being here with us. And I think it's a good product. I think it's gonna be fun. I think people are gonna enjoy it, but you're gonna have to enjoy it in big spaces. I was having visions the whole time I was flying of that, you know, 75 or 80 foot oak tree catching my paramotor.
Yeah.
And I'm glad it didn't.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm just glad it landed over in the neighbor's field and it was easy to get to instead of a barbed wire fence, because that might have been the end of it. So with that, we'll jump into the unboxed build radio setup. So thanks for watching and come back for more. Okay, so we just came in with this Paraglider, and it occurred to me that, you know, some of you are gonna wanna pack it up when you're done flying it instead of just leaving it out, you know, for the next flight or whatever. And so I figured I would take a second and show you how I'm gonna pack it, okay? So once you get it untangled, then I would just pull the strings just like this, however it rests comfortably, and then I would just work it. We still have a little bit of memory on ours, so it's easy from the factory folding, and it doesn't really matter. And you're gonna think to yourself, it's gonna tangle up like crazy, but it just isn't. These lines will just basically go right back where they need to go. And so I'm just gonna do that. And I'm trying to get it so that it's small enough to go in this package. So I might go like one more fold. And then really, I don't even need to worry about the lines, but if you wanna make it even nicer, you can kind of turn these lines, you grab them as a bundle and just kind of put them in there, fold them up like a little taco or burrito. And there is no real super good rule for packing this up. It's not like you're packing a parachute that needs to deploy when you pull the chute. Okay, and I'm not even going to pack it any tighter than it needs to be, because that is going to be beneficial to the long-term well-being of the wing. Okay, and if you want to tuck it in a little bit, that's fine, and then you can cinch down this little apparatus here. And there you have it. So then it stores in a nice little package. Now, if you're like me, you may put the battery back in here, but just make sure it's obviously not plugged in, okay? If you're not used to flying airplanes, helicopters, quads, VTOLs, here on Brian Phillips RC, we obviously are, okay? But my recommendation would be to keep the battery out of it, charge it, keep it in a different spot, just so it's as safe as possible. But that's the way I'm gonna pack this up, and it'll be ready to rock and roll in probably 30 seconds to a minute. I can pop that thing out and actually have it set up. And just for your information, if you didn't already know this, if I wanted to take out my entire rig and set it up, I could be set up and flying in probably 15, 20 minutes with my full size paramotor. And that's from stored to ready to fly. It's kind of crazy how fast you can get hooked up to it, which is really awesome. But also, that's another story for another day. So stay tuned. Unbox next. YouTube, we got a box. We're gonna open it right now. All right, welcome to Brian Phillips RC. We unpack them, we set them up, and then we fly them. Sometimes you see them out of order. I'm not sure how this one's gonna work, but we're gonna see in mere moments. Not sure what we have here. I just see a bunch of description on the side. And let's keep cutting it open. So we will help get you out of the chair and into the air on this channel by reviewing lots of different aircraft. And what do we have here? Wolfbush, that's always exciting. Oh, it's a Paraglider, paramotor. Yeah, remote controlled Paraglider from Wolfbush. Pretty exciting stuff. Okay, so you guys may not know, I fly full scale Paragliders, and I think this thing actually...
You're supposed to open it there.
It says open. Okay, so let's see how this goes. So if you don't know anything about that, we do have a playlist about it. I have flown not very many times, so I'm not very good. And even though we're building an aerodrome here, you don't need an aerodrome to fly PPG, which is pretty cool. And if you don't know what PPG, it stands for Powered Paraglider. Okay, so remote controlled powered paraglider. Okay, after sales support, whatever that is, we're just gonna go ahead and go all the way through the process. Got some packaging here. Microzone, digital proportional RC system.
Transmitter?
Yeah, so it's like a controller.
Okay.
And the money shot. We usually don't start with this, but it looks like this is what we're gonna start with today. Okay, sweet. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a bag with what would be the wing. Got a couple of antennae that are just flopping all over the place. Like, do they really think that's okay? I don't really know how they expect that to survive. So we're gonna have to change that. And then we have the control lines that are going through here. Of course, those would be the A's. That's what we control in powered paragliding. Okay, so these would be the arms. So they're on a big servo.
Oh, I see.
They're gonna move up and down, and it looks like a pretty basic setup here. I doubt that's stabilized at all. And then we have a strap here that holds in the lithium polymer battery with an XT60. So let's get that charging right now. So just release the strap a little bit so that we can kind of pull this thing out. That should give us plenty of space. Nope, it doesn't. So we'll undo that, and then we'll pull this kind of out. Show you what we got. We got the Beat LiPo battery, 1500 milliamp hour, and this one looks to be 3S. They haven't marked it.
Okay.
Okay, so if you could just read that safety instruction there for me.
No. They don't know.
All right, so this is a ready to run, so that means it does come with a charger too. We'll show you the provided charger. We've seen this is the B3. We've seen it in a million different packages, and this one is no different than what we've seen in the past. Except I think it might be a little smaller now. Pretty simple AC input. Depending on what country you're getting this out of, I believe they're gonna send an appropriate plug, but this happens to be a USA plug, not a super long cable, which is actually fine by me because we have like a million chargers. Now, I'll show you how to do it like this, and then I'll show you how to do it with a more sophisticated charger, and we'll probably charge it on our charger just to show you that this works. We'll get that fired up right now. Use the XBC 100 checker. Okay, so we're just gonna slide this in here, plug it in, and show you what the voltages are. So we're at about 3.91 volts per cell. Very good balance, which is nice. Plug this into your regular run-of-the-mill outlet. It's a flashing red and green. So it does 2S or 3S. So just make sure your keys are in the right position. Plug it in, and then it's going to start charging the cells. It looks like these lights, that third light came on slowly. I'm not sure why. Okay. So if in doubt, we'll just let that charge for a minute or two. We'll come back and make sure we see an increase from 3.91 volts. The last time we got a weird product that had a parachute, the charger discharged the battery. You remember?
I do.
On the parachuter?
When did China get one of those packaging thingies?
I don't know.
You never see that kind of packaging.
Yeah,
from
that's
China.
right. We don't, which is pretty good. The pillow packs?
Yeah.
That's nice. So you guys don't know this, I work on industrial scales, but our company, the company I work for also has a packaging division, which I rarely work on, but we sell stuff like that and machines to do pillow packs. So that's just one of like a million different things we do.
Yep.
Okay, so, there is a manual of this stuff down at the bottom if you're curious, but the instructions are plug it in, the light goes from red to eventually green when it's done charging. And for us, we'll just throw this stuff back in the box, get it out of the way. Here on Brian Phillips RC, we believe fully in the entire process of Unbox build radio setup because many people just need help. Okay, so if you're one of those people, you're in the right place. Make sure you're subscribing, click the bell for notifications, and we'll try to get you from where you are now to where you want to be, which is generally, you know, flying yourself and having success. Okay. All right, so inside the box, whoa, it's nice. It's got a lanyard. Now, some of you guys might not understand why a lanyard is nice. This is actually a pretty comfortable lanyard too.
It is.
Feel it.
Yeah, it's like the silky.
It's like silky.
It's a nice JR Pro.
It's got kind of a light duty connection point, but that's okay because these are not real heavy. Sterling Kit likes to stick their stuff on these, probably because we're influencers, I'm guessing. I don't know if they'll do that to yours, but either way, if you follow the links, oh look, you can use a 2S battery or 4 AA's. That's pretty sweet. Okay. It looks like we've got a QR code and a micro zone scratch and check. Oh, so it must have like the connection ID. Oh, interesting. So throttle, this is a little bit stiffer. It's kind of got like some resistance on it, which is nice. The antennas are built in here. We've got a carrying handle. Dual rates are here. Channel 5 is here, 3-position switch. Channel 6, 3-position switch, and then custom, okay? Trimmer, 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 trimmer. And then it looks like we have mix. Whoa, cool. That's neat. So you can do different things with this. So there's a power button, just a push button, okay? That's kind of neat. I've never seen this before. And then it's got what looks like a trainer jack on it. So again, we're not going to be playing with a lot of that stuff. Admittedly, if I get a ready to fly airplane, ready to fly helicopter, ready to fly quad, VTOL, whatever it happens to be, we don't investigate a lot about the transmitters. This is the first time we've seen this particular variety. And we see a lot of transmitters and ready to fly packaging. This looks like possibly one of the nicer ones. Oh, and then there's a recharging port. Pretty sweet. Oh. I'm not sure that I would trust that necessarily, but I guess it depends. They must offer, I bet this brand, this Microzone, must offer a battery pack and charger, I'm guessing.
Combo thing or something.
But again, we're talking about kind of like a run of the mill, ready to fly options. We're not going to typically dig deep into all the transmitter functions unless it's something like, the Flywing helicopters where we've done a bunch of them and we've really had good success, and we might investigate a little bit deeper on those. But really what we want to do is we want to teach you how to get in the air. And a lot of times that means using Spectrum gear, because obviously we do a lot of Spectrum stuff. You can see we're surrounded by Spectrum batteries and Spectrum receivers and things like that. But whatever comes in the ready to fly, ready to run products is what we run, unless we decide to change things up. So we'll go ahead and come back and revisit this after we've taken a minute. So it goes to green when it's disconnected. We'll go ahead and plug this back in, flip that over. I do not like these quick disconnect thingies or this assistant that takes the pressure off those plugs. I've never had a problem with them. I take them off immediately. So we're at 3.94, 3.95, 3.49, okay? So we're getting a little bit of charge in there. Now let's go over to a more sophisticated charger. We'll go ahead and fire up the Gen 2 S2200. Of course, you can get these in different sizes, but because this is an XT60, I'll use a little XT60 to, this is an an EC3. So that'll be compatible with the IC3. Of course, these come with IC5 and IC3, which have smart connector leads. Then I'm just gonna flip this over so I can plug it in, and then it populates the screen with the voltages, similar to what we saw on the XBC. We press the play, change our speed from the previous most recent battery we were charging. Was last night doing some flights with the AT6. And so I can just scroll down and go to 1.5 amps. That'd be 1C charge rate. Now this battery is a 35C pack. So you could probably do conservatively 3.5 times 1500 milliamps. Now remember, 1500 would be 1000 times the current if you're going by amps, okay? So you'd be 1.5 times up to about 3.5. So whatever you are comfortable with. Just remember, when you're charging, the biggest thing you can do for safety is to be where you can see and hear what's going on. If you have some sort of a component failure, you want to be able to respond to it accordingly. I'm going to unplug this charger, speaking of. But that being said, lithium polymer packs are only as dangerous as you make them, okay? But there is a certain amount of chemistry that you don't control, and you don't necessarily control the components and the way everything is interconnected together below all the films and covering. So especially with soft packs for aircraft, you gotta be extra careful. So we have fire extinguishers spread throughout the house, and we have a lot of egresses, which are one of the biggest things. If we'd ever have a fire, it'd be pretty incredible, because we have a lot of batteries, okay? Getting back to the point, this thing has a prop guard on it, which is simulating real life. But just remember, that prop guard is not going to stop your fingers from going in. In real life, there'd be netting on here, okay? And I do like that this looks like a paramotor assembly and not so much a trike, because a trike is a different type of flight experience. I don't personally have a trike. I probably should have a trike because I'm fat and heavy. And I run a 31 meter wing, so it's huge. If you're like 180 pounds, you know, skinny person, you might have like an 18 or 19 meter wing, which is a lot smaller. I mean, it's like half the size. And if you've never flown PPG and you've never had hundreds of pounds of pressure dragging you through a field in an uncontrolled way, then you don't understand the real dangers and real risks of flying in powered paragliding. Powered paragliding is a difficult skill that anybody can learn if they want to. But it also depends on weather, it depends on timing. A lot of times you're flying at twilight hours because you need the wind to be at least subdued, but you want a little bit of it so you can help launch your wing, because it's hard to do in dead calm conditions. The most skilled pilots can do it. But this thing is going to give us a similar look and feel to that application. So you just have to keep in mind, this is going to be a conditional flyer. You're not going to fly this in super windy conditions. Like, show them the wind right now, just so you can see. We might be able to fly it in winds like this.
Maybe.
But this is going to be a crapshoot. So we're going to try it in winds like this, and we're going to see if it works. And then we're going to be disappointed together if it doesn't.
Great.
So just keep in mind, when you buy something like a paraglider, it is not an airplane. It is not a heli for sure. It is not a quad. It is not a VTOL, okay? So you have to have a little bit of skill to launch this. You have to have a little bit of skill to fly this. So anybody who's telling you it's easy is probably lying to you. I haven't flown it yet, but we don't lie to people, especially not about easy and not about beginner, because that is a huge misnomer in this industry. And if you just look and just pan around this room, you can see these planes. This is about, what, 5% of the planes and helicopters that we have?
Yeah.
So we have done so many planes, helicopters, VTOLs, quads over the years, over the last 10 plus years, that I forget how many we've done. It's incredible. We have containers full of planes. We have basement full of planes. We're building a building right now that's going to be 60 by 104 feet long by 20 feet tall. We're going to have racks of storage so we can pull planes. And we just got done with an intersection, and we're in the process of about ready building this big building. And if you want to just give them a quick review of that, it's supposed to be done in July. It's November next week.
Yes.
So
there's
as you can see,
stuff over there at least.
I mean, there's things, but it's not done.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're brand new to Brian Phillips RC, when we give advice, we give real advice, because real advice really helps. And sales pitches don't necessarily help. Now, I may accidentally try to sell something to you because I love it, but that's not necessarily our intention. Our intentions are to teach you what you need to know so you can get in the air. And then obviously there's going to be certain planes that are more advanced planes, and I might be trying to kind of push you in that direction to help an affiliate. Or we might say, I really love this, so we think you should get it. Or, wow, this is terrible. Stay away from it, okay? And now you can usually tell because I don't handle disappointment well, okay? That being said, welcome to Brian Phillips RC. That's what we do. We tell the full truth, nothing but the truth. So help us God. And part of that is, this is not going to be an easy to fly thing, in my opinion, okay? Now, you've already seen it fly because we put that stuff at the beginning of ready to fly packages like this.
Yep.
Okay, so if you're wondering why you're seeing this sort of out of order, this is the way we do things. So if you're brand new to the channel, welcome to Brian Phillips RC. We're gonna get you out of the chair and into the air. And so that all being understood, these two antennas are supposed to be they're supposed to be at 90 degrees of each other. Now, I cannot tell if this is carbon fiber. I believe it to be plastic, and it's got a little cutout that shows what the humanoid would be, okay, which is kind of cool. You can see that cut out. Mm-hmm. But this is plastic, so it's not carbon fiber. It looks like it might be carbon fiber, but it's not. This is completely inappropriate. I cannot believe that's the way that that comes out of the box. We're gonna have to do something about that right now. And here's the thing, if those antennas get into the fan, you're gonna potentially cut them like almost instantly. You might stop the fan from working.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna find out that I was incorrect in my assessment. And so I'm gonna zip time right now. I just cannot believe that that's the way that came out of the box.
I'm wondering if, like, yeah, that seems weird, even to me.
It's totally dumb.
Yeah.
Totally dumb. Did it come with zip ties?
No, it didn't come with anything.
Look.
I mean, that's how they show it in the picture. That's what I was looking for.
Oh, they've already installed some of the zip ties. Yeah,
it's just
there's
the product
antennas.
list. They're just like
guys,
hanging out there.
First thing we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting zip ties on. We're not even going to put the 4 AA's in yet. We're going to put zip ties on. Why? Because there's no sense in even bothering with it. If you're going to cut your antennas right away, you might as well just throw this thing in the garbage can. By the way, the last 28 millimeters of a 2.4 gigahertz system are what actually collect and or transmit data, okay? So remember, make no mistake, these are transceivers. They transmit and receive, okay? There's also a bind button, it looks like, or a bind light. So not sure exactly how to do that yet. We probably won't need to bind it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically set one of these to go here. So it's kind of just tied up and out of the way, okay? So what are we gonna use to do that? We're just gonna use a couple zip ties that were not provided with this model. Again, full disclosure, we always show the stuff we use. We try to point out when it's something that was provided and when it was something that we provided, so you guys can make your best value judgment. I mean, sometimes it's not a big deal. It's a couple cents worth of zip ties. But you know, you might not have zip ties, so you have to come up with a suitable alternative if you want to follow along and do all the same things. Now you'll notice I'm covering up part of the last 28 millimeters and I'm putting a little bit of pressure on there. That's fine. I just want it away from the prop so that it would be near impossible. And yes, I am torquing that down with these side cutters, also known as dikes. Then I'm going to use these, which are just strippers, and I find that they work really good to get a nice smooth cut. Now, normally I wouldn't care on an aircraft, but on an aircraft that has a parachute, or in this case, what's actually called a wing, I want to make sure that we have a nice smooth cut. Mm-hmm. I don't want to have a little chunk of something that's sharp that would catch. Now, normally this would be, you know, let's call that 90 degrees. So then your options would be here, here. That's not 90 degrees, that's parallel, okay? Or here, that would give us a 90 degree. So we can either double this back up and just kind of run this vertical like that. That's what I'm gonna do.
That's pretty good.
That would get us mostly out of the way.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't need to be vertical like this because the axis of the plane is 360 degrees. It's indifferent. Right. The antenna doesn't know any better about its position, and the position is indifferent to the application. So there's two ways we can do this. We could either tape this or we could zip tie it. I kind of like the idea of zip tying it, just hopefully it holds.
Yeah.
I just don't know, those sides are sort of tapered as we go. So I think we're gonna have to tape this one.
But if you didn't have zip ties, you could tape it, or you could do...
Well, we're gonna tape this one because the problem is using a zip tie on this swooping surface, it's only gonna hold right in the middle. Because what's gonna happen is if you try to tie it up here, it's just gonna slip off.
Right.
But we might be able to tie it in that position. Maybe we
kind
could,
of right where
maybe we
it's
could just do it in that one position right there. Because then it kind of holds itself down here. It's jammed in there. You know what? I like that better than taping it.
Yeah.
And plus with, you know, with a zip tie, you can always cut that free and go back to its full original quality and beauty. You don't have to depend on, you know, having some adhesive stuff there.
Right.
Okay. And the only reason I'm especially concerned about this is because you don't want your antennas cut. That would be bad. Now, I am not sure I'm gonna be able to get this flat enough to actually engage that material because the nature of zip ties, sometimes there's a little bit of a bulge in a long spread like that. So we'll just cut that initially. You guys show them a close-up of this. Watch. See what I do? I get in there and I use the knife from one side and it cuts a really smooth cut. So, you know, if you work on electronics at all, and you ever follow up some other like technician or something and they leave zip ties with these sharp edges on them, that is a huge pet peeve of mine because then I get caught on them.
Right.
And it drives me crazy. That might be enough to kind of keep it out of the prop. I don't really think I can do another one because like this, if I do it here, it's just gonna slide back to the same position. Maybe I could slide this up. Yeah, I might be able to just do two. We'll just do two. And remember guys, I don't care if it goes vertical, it's not a big deal. I just can't believe they don't have like a slot or something cut in there. It's pretty janky if you ask me. And I know what they were thinking. They were thinking that's gonna be ugly because it is. But you know what wouldn't have been ugly is if they took a little tube and they glued it onto this black and then you could just slip it in. Now we could do that too, or you could do that, you know, like a WD-40 can that comes with that sprayer. You could take and clip that with scissors and just like stick it on there with some China glue or CA, and then slide your antenna.
You know, you could use it to work really good.
Stirs.
Stir sticks, like, yeah.
Coffee stirs.
They would blend in.
You get the white ones or black ones.
Yeah.
The problem is you add that material in bulk and you don't want to interfere with the RC signal.
But you know what else is ugly? Is crashing your paramotor because your antenna gets cut off.
So nice charger. This thing is so light and crappy, but it seems to be fine. And you can also tell right here how fast it's going to charge. So it's 800 milliamp hours. I don't know if that's like per cell or if that's just like the nominal output is 0.8 amps, which would make sense. Okay. So now the next move would be, we have to obviously get the battery charged, and we're gonna have to also go ahead and put batteries in here. So we'll probably go ahead and pause now and get batteries set up. All right, so while we were getting our AA batteries, which are now in my hand, we were reviewing the manual. Let's pop these in real quick. It does have a stabilizer on it, supposedly, so we'll see if that works. Okay, so there's that. There's that. The negative, you'll notice, is the flat side. Positive is the bump. So the negative goes to the spring, and then that gets depressed across. Now, if you want to use a regular run-of-the-mill battery that you would use for another aircraft, here is an example of one that might work. This would be, you know, just a 2S pack. So we got 2 cells in series. This is a lithium ion pack, actually. So you could use the LiPo, you could use, as long as the chemistry is close to the same voltage, then you should be fine. But you got to keep in mind 1.5 times 4, it's 1.5 becomes 3 becomes 4.5 becomes 6. If I'm understanding correct. It depends on if they're in series or parallel. I believe these are in series based on the way that that goes to there, then it goes to there, then it goes to there, then it goes, yeah, so it's in series. So if you use a 2S LiPo, you're gonna be at like 8.4 volts. So there must be a bridge rectifier inside of here that takes that voltage and steps it down to what it needs, okay? Okay, so press and hold the power button. For a second, it turns it on. Then you can look at the different settings. This looks like normal versus reverse. Oh, this must be locked. Unlock or lock, okay? So it doesn't change anything, doesn't change anything, doesn't change anything. So if I hit mix, it says Elevon or VTEL. So if I press and hold, then it changes to VTEL. If I press and hold, it changes to Elevon. No, it shuts off. If I press and hold, it goes to Elevon, okay? If I press and hold, then it reverses, okay? So this is gonna do mixing for us, okay? There is an audible feedback. This is FHSS, so S, FHSS, okay? So it's like Futaba, okay? So now we are gonna go ahead and open this parachute or wing. If you're a paramotor, then you would call it a wing. If you're just a regular person, then you would call it a parachute. So undo this bag, walk this out. Now, one thing I can tell you from personal experience with paramotor material is that sunlight is the #1 thing that destroys it. And look, spare prop and more goodies, okay? So it does come with some spare arms and some different trolley material. So it looks like if you would have a simple breakage, you should be able to repair it, and it did come with a couple of zip ties.
Okay.
The other thing about this is you don't want to pack this any tighter than you have to, because that just kind of wears it out, okay? So when you pack it as loose as you can tolerate. So if you had a small like Tupperware container or something like that, you could just kind of lay it in there gently. And then you don't have to worry about getting your lines tangled, okay? So this is currently on, I'll leave that on. It's probably going to go to an obnoxious like status warning that nothing's happened to it. Okay, so of course this is gonna unfold. Now the difference between this and a proper wing for paramotoring is that our pockets have a shark mouth and they open up to a big sealed cavity, and then that inflates and becomes erect, okay?
I didn't even look at you.
And once it's erect, then you use the wing like you would on an airplane. The difference is it's rammed full of air, okay? So this is not, this is more of like a parachute. So, but it's shaped like a wing, and look at all this crap. That's the way it is on a real paramotor. And the difference is these are made of cotton, and the ones we use on ours are made of Kevlar. They're Kevlar coating on the outside. It's braided around a cotton line, except for the brakes, okay? And so the brakes are hooked up to the trailing edge of the wing, and the trailing edge of the wing is impacted by this, and they would be color coded in real life, but you see how they go to the back of the wing? So when this wing is flying, imagine it's flying, you're actually moving the control surface on the back, and that will brake, okay? And it will slow down this side, or you brake and it will slow down this side. Just imagine my body down there is the guy flying. So you've got this wing up here and you're braking, okay? You're braking, or you're braking together and you'll slow down, and then eventually you'll catch up with yourself and stall, okay? So that's the way that works. And our battery actually just got done charging, so let's walk around here real quick. 377 milliamp hours from 3.94 volts up to where we were at about 4.2 now, okay? And that didn't take very long at all. So we can unplug this battery now. You can unplug the balance lead. If you guys didn't know, this is the balance lead. This is the main discharge lead. So it's a little bit larger leads here. This is actually a pretty good quality battery. I can tell just because of the lead size, and it's silicone and silicone dipped, as well as a red leader. So you know that that is a positive most cell. Now, if you want to take this thing off like I'm going to, all you have to do is just use your thumbnail or your fingernail, pop that off, and then just throw this into your cabinet.
You're gonna keep the thing that you hate?
Well, I might need it someday.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so as you can see, we've got this battery now, and it's gonna go in here. You can pull this excess material out, and then once you have enough out, you can slide this over the top of it, push it all the way back, and then secure all the excess material. I'm gonna sit down so I can get my body closer to it. And part of that excess material, you wanna be able to plug this in, but you don't want it to be able to flop to where it could get back into the prop, okay? So now we can pull this sort of tight. Now I don't think I need to go around like that, because that, yeah, that'd be too much. Okay, so we'll just slide this through right here. And then we'll just kind of pull that. And guys, there you have it. Now that's secured in there. And we'll just double check that we have all of our leads are pressed in tight to the receiver. And then we're gonna simulate stabilization. So at this point, because we have the transmitter fired up, and it should already be bound out of box. If it's not, they have a binding procedure in the manual, okay, which is on that little fold out. So we'll actually scan that here in a minute. Let's plug it in. Okay. Okay, so it arms. Now, I don't know if this is gonna do a throttle cut, so I'm gonna secure this by pressing down on it very hard. Then I'll move the sticks. Okay, so it definitely blows. Throttle cut, there is no throttle cut over here, so that's gonna trick me into thinking there is. Okay, now I'm gonna move my sticks, elevator back, so that's the brakes, that's forward, that's gonna let us out, go faster. That's gonna roll us left, roll right. And there is no mixing for that, so it's just throttle over here. And if you were to change the mix by pressing this, it's gonna totally screw things up, see? So you don't wanna do that. Then no mix, you'd have one there, you'd have throttle here. Yeah, so that's gonna screw it all up. So go back to Elevon mix. So Elevon is the way it's supposed to be. And yes, when I pull back on the elevator, I'm just gonna turn this around so I'm kind of seated like I am the paramotor. When I do this, that's gonna go up. To a certain extent, it's also gonna brake. When I do that, it's gonna go faster. It's gonna point down a little bit. When we do this, that's gonna let out the brakes on the right and it's gonna deploy the brakes on the left, which is going to yaw the aircraft that way. And this is gonna yaw the aircraft that way. So it's gonna fly a lot like a 3-channel plane. If you've ever flown a 3-channel plane, that's what you would expect. Now, the way you launch this, I'm gonna just hold this. I wanna see if it's stabilizing. I don't know about any stabilization.
Doesn't sound like it.
Doesn't sound like it, unless it turns on with a switch. Okay, so then, as you can see, you can kind of just do this to inflate the wing. Just don't crash into your balls if you have ball-shaped lights, okay? That's pretty cool. And my suggestion is don't tangle it.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you tangle it, you're gonna spend tedious amounts of time trying to get it untangled, okay? But I gotta say, that was an incredibly simple setup. Like, I'm thrilled with how easy that was. That was not hard. And the way you would launch in real life is you would walk up to your wing, you would lay it just like this, and you would actually hold your arms out like this, and you would launch by just like walking into it, and then the wind would be driving this way if you're going a forward launch. Or you would stand, if the wind was coming from the other direction, then you could do a reverse launch where the wing is in front of you here and you've got your lines crossed or crossed, depending on which way you want to turn around. And then you launch into the wind, so the wind is coming from your back, and you launch it like this so you can see. And then when you're ready to take off, depending on which way you got, then you would turn around and then go into the wind, and you would give throttle and take off, okay? So in this case, you're always gonna launch forward launch, okay? You're not gonna do a reverse launch, but in real life, that's how it really works. So when you watch like Tucker God on YouTube, and you're thinking, man, that looks easy.
I can do that.
Yeah, and then you watch Tucker God like doing base jumps from inside nuclear power plants, cooling towers, and you're like, oh, that doesn't look so easy.
Yeah, right.
Just apply that logic to his flying next to rock formations in Utah, and you'll understand it's not that easy.
Yeah.
Okay, I want it to be easy. It's not. Just like flying RC airplanes, people think it's easy until they actually do it, and they realize just how much help they really need, okay? And we will help you by helping you unlock the mysteries of RC. Now, in this case, I don't think there's probably a whole lot more that we need to go over on this, but we are gonna talk about the binding procedure real quick in case you would need to do that. Because why don't you just take a second and show them the whole manual. Yes, there is a QR code. They do a little video, and then we'll flip over. If you guys need to pause it, that's fine. This is the entire Wolfbush. So if you wanna just give them a wide view of the bush, that'd be great.
I am.
The Wolfbush, okay? So if you have to bind, there is a binding procedure, and it's listed somewhere
over here.
Right
Frequency pairing if you have to.
That's like if you were to replace your transmitter or maybe something went wrong with it, then you could actually do that.
Yeah.
The thing I don't understand is where they talk about stabilization system. Equipped with an advanced stabilization system, it can minimize, it can maintain stable flight even in light wind conditions. Okay.
Maybe we didn't give enough throttle or something for it to initiate.
I don't know. I'm going to do that right now. Let's try that. So also, you see how that's hitting my zip tie there? So that's not ideal. Because like you don't want this to get caught on stuff. But honestly, when you're launching in a trike, then you would have things that actually hold your lines out of the way.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to try throttle real quick. So. Okay. So you could actually potentially self-launch in the right conditions. But I don't see any movement. The other thing too is you'll notice that these have little clips, so you can undo the clips. I would recommend putting it up and over like this, okay? Because what's gonna happen is you want the length of the lines to be equal. You don't want them tangled on this, okay? So if you can't figure it out, what you'll do is you'll come back here and kind of pull the slack out of it. And then here and pull the slack out of it, because then that's gonna hold, that clasp will be pulled tight instead of like being flipped over itself. Because if you have one that's like this and one that's like that, it's going to be a huge trimming issue. And yes, these are trimmers, I believe. So you can see it moving. The double beep there's a louder beep or like a higher pitch
longer beep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's going to tell you you're in the center of the range. Okay, so hopefully we've explained all the things you need to know. So of course this is going to be your throttle, just like on a Mode 2 throttle on your airplane. There is no yaw control here, but then this is going to do your yaw and your pitch and roll, and all those things are going to kind of be mixed in together like a 3-channel plane. Okay, so of course when you give rudder on a 3-channel, you tend to roll with it a little bit, and then the elevator of course changes your pitch. In this case, this is going to act like your elevator, but it's actually going to kind of speed you or slow you, which is going to inherently work with throttle to either increase or decrease, whether you're headed up or headed down. Okay, so it's a little bit different control system. You have to learn the idiosyncrasies of powered paramotoring to fly a powered paraglider. Strange, right? Okay, all right. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below. Obviously, we love to share about aviation, and we would love this to work well in this wind. It may not. So if we are speaking out of turn, you'll know because you saw a beautiful, not windy day. And so we don't want to disappoint anybody, but we are going to try it in this wind. So maybe that'll be at the end of our maidens. But at the end of the day, we do try to show the full truth, nothing but the truth, so help us God. And that includes trying to fly in windy conditions. May not be correct for this application. So leave your questions, comments down below. If you want to support Brian Phillips RC, buy these things from the links in the video description below. That helps us in 2 ways. One, it helps us to bolster our relationships with companies that make these products by helping them to encourage them to work with us in the future, okay? So that helps us. It also helps to grow the hobby, because the types of things that you guys like will start getting made more of, which is what we want. Okay, we want to grow the hobby, we want to drive down the cost by growing it bigger, okay? We also want to keep the companies that are doing what we like in business and perpetuate their business, okay? Now also, the third and very smallest detail is of course that we're going to make a few bucks on it, but that is not why we drive you toward one particular product versus another particular product. We just want you to know what you're getting, why you might enjoy it, and how you can get the most out of it. Okay, that's what we do on Brian Phillips RC. We don't really care if you buy this or that J3 Cub over there, or the F7F, or the Cobra down there, or the Bell 206, or the Catalina, or this extra NG 1600, which by the way is awesome, or the Airbus. We don't care which one you get. We want to help you decide with your limited RC budget what's going to be the biggest bang for your buck, and what's going to actually do what it says. Okay, so if you're in the market for powered paraglider, RC powered paragliders, we're not going to have a lot of choices. We don't even have a category for this.
Oh yeah, I don't know where it's going to go.
In the powered paraglider section,
I guess.
My experience, which is pretty cool.
Well, yeah, that's true.
So, and if you guys want to find something else and you're like, hey, it's kind of cool, it's neat, I'm glad you did it, because the other guys all made everything look perfect, that's fine. But at the end of the day, we understand this is not going to be for everybody, just like the parachuter that we did here recently is not going to be for everybody, okay? But you go to brianphillipsrc.com and you can find exactly what's for you, okay? And that's why we have this consortium of information that would be bprc.me or brianphillipsrc.com. Same place, short link, long link, okay? So there's 2 ways to support us beyond that. When you do buy these things, of course we make commissions, so it's really nice, but we want you to understand our heart behind that is you can buy whatever item you want and you'll still support us, okay? We want you to get what you really want. So like if it's this or it's the Cobra 500, which is awesome by the way.
Yes.
And we have fully unlocked the secrets of the L7 in a very long video that I put tons of effort into, about a week and a half worth of effort just on kind of unpacking all the technology that's in that. And we only just scraped the surface on that. But it's still really cool. That's what we do on Brian Phillips RC. We take and conglomerate information over years and we disseminate it to you in a way that's bite-sized pieces and 4-hour videos. Yes. So hopefully bite-size, like elephant bite-size.
Yeah.
We want to help get you out of the chair and into the air is what we say. That's one of our taglines, and telling the full truth, nothing but the truth, so help us God. Another tagline is just because at the end of the day, there's a million people on YouTube that are trying to get you to buy crap. And I don't really care what you buy. I just want you to be flying RC because it's an awesome hobby. It's hard. It's expensive. It is not easy. It takes time. There's a lot of frustration involved. It takes skill that you probably don't have. even if you think you do and you fly full scale, okay? We're gonna help get you there on all those aspects. And when you realize that there's value in that, you'll wanna help support us, okay? That's why we throw out these other options, Patreon, PayPal, YouTube, super thanks to YouTube members, all of which are much appreciated. And we have links to those at brianphillipsrc.com, or you can just look in the video description below, right below where this particular featured product happens to sit, okay? So just remember, at the end of the day, if we work with a wider variety of offerings, whether it be through particular brands or particular distributors, we can give you a better picture of what is garbage and what is good. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, this might be the worst RC product we've ever reviewed in the history of mankind. And that's fine, because we don't care. We just want you guys to be happy. We want to serve the RC community, and we want to talk you into flying, okay? So we're going to talk you into the air. That's what we try to do on this channel. So if that's true and you have an example of it, shoot it into the comments below, help encourage others. Because at the end of the day, like I said, it's not easy, it's not fast. It takes skill, it takes effort, it takes practice. And what do we do in today's day and age that takes time? Not much.
Yep.
Most of what we do is instant gratification anymore. And if you see just how hard this is, and you try it and you realize just how hard it is, and then you realize in like 6 months to a year, you could be doing it with efficacy. If you get the right help, then you'll realize the value in what we're doing here, okay? So stay tuned for so much more of that on Brian Phillips RC, and make sure that you do click the bell when you subscribe and choose all so that you're notified of all the content that we release. But in the meantime, if you're looking for something very specific, obviously smash the like button before you head over to your browser bar and type in bprc.me. Press enter and you'll be at brianphillipsrc.com, and you can sort by type. Again, maybe this will be like in the helicopters.
Well, maybe I'll make a parachute category, because then we could have this and then the skydiver guy, and
sure,
there'll be more stuff, I'm sure.
And we do ground vehicles, we do boats, we do cars, trucks, SUVs, but our predominant experience has been fixed wing aircraft over the years. Second, followed shortly by helicopters, VTOLs, quads, that sort of stuff. And then there's occasionally leaf blowers and tractors and stuff.
Yeah.
And things that I'm interested in, not the least of which is the support of this aerodrome project, which is crazy. If you don't know what an aerodrome is, it's like a little RC airport. Or in our case, a full-scale airport that happens to also be generally geared toward RC equipment, but also full-scale. And yes, we have flown airplanes. There was an airplane sitting right there about, what, like 1 year ago, okay?
Yeah.
Right after they cut the hay. So we also do farming, but that is not what we do on this channel, okay? Because...
well, sometimes we do if we want to torture you more.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. So at the end of the day, we are going to bring you what we're interested in, because that's the best way for us to share with you. And this is what I'm interested in right now. We're going to show you if it works, and hopefully we will bring you value. All right, leave your questions and comments down below. And obviously, get ready, because there is so much more right around the corner at Brian Phillips RC. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.